Hey there, Weasley. Karthikeyan here. I think Rishi is also here.
Hey, how are you doing?
Seriously.
Pleasure to
Uh,
meet you guys. Pleasure to meet you guys in real life.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's our
likewise.
honor to have you here, Wesley.
Honor, the honor is all mine, gentlemen. It's a true honor
Yeah,
to be here. Like you have no
yeah,
idea
yeah.
how happy I was when OWASP Salem was like, oh, let's do a meetup. Yeah, let's do it, boys. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
sure. Yeah, thank you so much for your.
And how are you doing? How's it going there?
It's going really well, thank you. It's a very lovely day here in Belgium. The weather's nice, so I have nothing to complain about in that regard. How about you guys? Everything okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
great
Here
here
raining.
also.
Rainy, but it's like warm, no?
Yeah, yeah, warm only.
I see.
We
I
have
see.
different regions here. So I'm from Coimbatore, so it's pretty much sunny plus cloudy here. So it's kind of awesome. So
That's nice. That's nice. I want to come to India someday, really bad. Like
Sure, sure.
sure,
if you
sure.
are if you're gonna come to India, please do visit the southern part and let us know.
I will for sure. I will because something tells me you guys are gonna invite me to speak. Something
Yeah,
tells
yeah.
me, or at least like to meet.
Okay.
Here we go.
Uh,
Okay.
Okay, let's start admitting people. And by the way, congrats on your company, the XSS Act.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, please?
So you started your company, right? The XSSRat.com. The link
Yeah.
is,
That's where I sell my courses.
yeah,
Yes.
I just saw that. It's really great.
Thank you. You're all getting a free course today. Everybody who's joining will get a free course.
Oh,
Wow,
wow.
I will. Can I give
everyone
you
will be
guys?
surprised.
How should I do that? Should I give you guys the link or something? Because it's a very simple coupon code. Can be applied
Yeah.
like at checkout or just via the link that we have. I'll send it to you and it should give you 100% off on that XSS guide to everybody. I put it in chat to
Wow.
everyone. But
Uh,
yeah.
cool. Okay, let me just start admitting people. Uh, I will let everyone in. Okay, I will
Um,
make you a post as well. I got that. Yeah. Make co-host.
Oh,
Yeah,
Uncle Rat's
there we
XSS
go.
Get Beginner Media Set. Wow.
And Rishi, yeah. Okay, I made you guys co-host. Great.
yeah, I got
Yeah.
host privileges. Thank you. Yo, how many people are gonna show up? I'm getting stage fright here, gentlemen. I'm not gonna lie. What the hell?
We received about 245 sign up.
No, I appreciate everyone being here. This is awesome.
So currently we have about 13 joined. So we'll wait for some more minutes. About let's give them about 5. Then we can start.
People are joining. I think Karthikeyan, we have international participants also.
Is it? Yeah, I saw some.
Yeah.
So for anybody that wants to hack along, I'm going to put my labs link in the chat as well. You can hack along. It's not even Burp Suite is required for this one, so that's nice.
Basically, your audio is a bit low.
I'm
No,
sorry.
no, he is saying that, yeah, no problem. Yeah, we can hear you. Karthik, he said he shared his, oh, not audible. I can hear him. Browser showing.
Yeah, like people are saying it's not audible. I think you are wearing a headphone, so it's better for you.
Is it better now as we
Yeah,
speak?
it's much better. Yeah,
Okay,
it,
yeah, sorry, I had the wrong settings on my microphone. It helps if you put that correctly, I've heard. I mean, and
happens.
now
Yes.
I've, yeah, good call to do that. Thanks, guys.
Okay, I think there are about 52 people joined. I think we can start now. Uh, okay, yeah. Thank you guys for joining. So we have Weasley with us, founder of the XSS Rat. It's also known as the XSS Rat. So this is a monthly session based on like the topic is about the XSS, learning XSS and to mitigate them effectively. So from the XSS Rat himself. So over to you, Weasley.
Thank you so much for hosting me. It's a true pleasure to be here today at the WASP Salem and give you guys a nice presentation. I have to admit, a lot more people joined than I anticipated, so I got some stage fright. So bear with me. If I have audio problems or whatever, just put it in the chat. If I yank at the cable and don't see it, that's something that could happen to me. But let's start because first of all, I have a slide deck as well, which I'm going to put the link to in the chat so you guys can follow along if you want with the whole slideshow for later as well. I've put a link in the chat as well, which gives you access to my XSS guide for free. If you want to use any other course of mine, you can always use the code discount, and that gives you 85% off. I've made that for this seminar, and of course, it's gonna be active for a little bit. But that XSS guide at the top, that is completely free. I'll put that in here one more time so everybody has it. Oh, that is not the guide itself. I need to copy the link and then send it to you, gentlemen and ladies. There we go. So to get started, let's share my screen. Please let me know if you can see it. Share the entire screen. You should have a, well, that is my project in Burp Suite. Let's not do that. That should be the presentation. You should be able to see that, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
visible.
yes, it's visible.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. There we go. So who am I? I'm Wesley. I started this whole thing with the idea of no bullshit hacking tutorials because I wanted to do bug bounties. I wanted to prove that I could do pen testing because I don't want a job, and that started at the very beginning. I already had a few years of QA experience, and so I wanted to prove that I had the capabilities that were looked for in these types of jobs. So I did bug bounties, and I got into the top 20 on integrity, and I found some XSSs in my career. One of the XSSs that I found is a really cool one on Roblox. I'll tell you guys more on how that one works, but it's cool to hack Roblox, of course. Another one that I found was on a company that's more local here, but it's more of a, like, it was a self-XSS that I was able to elevate. I found XSS in forums, multiple locations basically. On top of it, then I was like, let's teach other people. And I wanted to do XSS initially because I really liked it, but of course, bug bounties is much broader than that. And that's what most people are interested in. But XSS still has a special place in my heart. You can do so many cool things with it. I didn't know if you know this, but you can make like crypto miners with cross-site scripting if you really want to. Not that it's more, well, it depends on what you're mining, of course, but it's like you can make keyloggers, you can make crypto miners, anything that you can do with JavaScript, you can do with cross-site scripting. It's more than that, but we'll get into that. So I was really interested in that for a long time. I made my company, I set up my courses, especially my YouTube channel, which has 1,200 videos by now. And I think I have 12 or 13 courses. I lost count. Medium, of course, which has like 10,000 followers. LinkedIn, about similar, 160,000 on X. And I have a Discord, which is 10,000 members strong. And I have one that's about 400. And I have my own private hunting group. With which we do a lot of bounties, and I've set up a cool system which I'll show a little bit of later, but that's not too related. What I want to show today is more cross-site scripting, how to go about it, how to defend against it. But who am I? I'm 35 years old myself. I know I don't look like it. I have a baby face, one of my biggest strong points. I have a daughter. She's 7 now, and I've been working in the industry for about 7 years now. So you can imagine when my daughter came, the stress rose like that. And that's not what it is. That's not what it is. But now what I enjoy in my hobbies is like drones, 3D printers, anything I can tinker with. Today I wanted to show you cross-site scripting, what it is, and that is not just cross-site scripting in JavaScript anymore. Cross-site scripting is a lot broader. Does anybody remember Flash? Anybody here old enough to remember Flash? I used to play Flash games in my browser when I was a kid. That thing was full of cross-site scripting. That's why they just canceled it. They were like, let's try to improve it, let's try to get it better, but they just, like, at the end it was not worth it to put that much time in. I think I skipped one slide here, and that is this one. What we're going to do today, first of all, what cross-site scripting is, I'm going to explain that to you guys. Then the types of cross-site scripting that we have, the contexts that cross-site scripting can occur in. That is, of course, a very important one, because based on the type and the context, you're going to be able to craft your attack vector. And then there's XSS filters and bypasses as well. But I want to talk a little bit about how that works in the backend. What's a blocking mode? What's an inspection mode? What is filtering? What is basically denying? That kind of stuff. So how do WAFs work in the backend? We're going to look at that a little bit, not too much of course, but we're going to look mostly at today mod security and the core rule set. I really like that one specifically because it's free. So you can set that up yourself. Anybody can set that up, and I would always recommend setting up your own labs because that has taught me the most over the years. What cross-site scripting is untrusted content that interacts with a trusted website. That's why they call it cross-site. It's not because it goes from one website to the other, but it is on an untrusted site to a trusted site. Cross-site scripting. This appears in Flash, VB script, Markdown, all these things which can happen, which can contain cross-site scripting. It's much more than just JavaScript, but JavaScript is the most common scripting language on the web, which is why you will find it more in JavaScript, because JavaScript is just more prevalent. It is basically unsanitized user input that is trusted and displayed on a page as is without transformation. That's bad, of course, because especially these days there are some defenses against cross-site scripting, like stealing cookies is a lot harder with a specific flag that you can set on them. Like stealing other things is harder, but still cross-site scripting can be very damaging. It can steal data that's on a page and send it to an out-of-band server, for example. So we'll look at a little bit about the impact as well later. I'll show you guys some really cool techniques on how you can bypass certain ideas in cross-site scripting. This can be used to steal cookies, but a lot less. Grab CSRF tokens, grab data from a page, use it to make crypto miners, use it to make a keylogger. And these days it's much harder, but when I got started, I could pop up a password field, I could click on that password field to JavaScript, I could select the first option, and on that website it gives you the password that you're on, and I could do the same for the username, and I could steal user data that way. So there's quite a few ways that you can abuse cross-site scripting, but finding it and then abusing it are two different things. You need to keep that in the back of your mind, that today whatever I'm gonna say is aimed at both finding it and then afterwards abusing it. Those are two different things. You need to be very aware of how you can find things, and then afterwards how we actually make use of that. What types of cross-site scripting do we have? We'll start with the reflected cross-site scripting. Reflected, the name says it all, it doesn't get stored in your browser. This gets taken from a parameter, can be get, can be post parameter, can also be a put request, of course, just a body parameter is what I mean with that. But the parameters that are most common are get. Why do I say post? Because that sounds weird, right? How are you going to make a cross-site scripting work with a post variable? Because you cannot influence that for a different user, or can you? We'll look at that. But it does happen. I found it this way. Get is more common, of course. This gets reflected onto the page, and there's one possible filter point, the reflection on the page. So here we need to make sure that we can bypass that one filter. If we go to stored, this gets transported into a database and then gets read back from the database. So these are two checkpoints which I might have to bypass, each with their own rule set, each with their own rules, sanitization, and all included. But what does that actually look like? You can all hack along with me. I've made sure that this is available for everyone. If you go to just labs.hexpert.com here, you can see that we have the reflected cross-site scripting here. The stored cross-site scripting I know doesn't work at this point, but that's okay. I am pushing an update, I know about this, and that's not a big problem, because I want to show what this means. Get reflected cross-site scripting. This is reflected cross-site scripting coming from a parameter in my browser. Now, what is happening here? Because I don't see no parameters. I don't see nothing happening. This is iframe content. Iframe content is special because you cannot break out of iframes and stuff like that. So it gets a little bit more tricky. Of course, I can see it now and I can use it, but anything happening in this iframe, if it is from a different origin and the security measures are set correctly, you're not going to be able to read anything from the parent website itself. So keep that in the back of your mind. Here, when I enter a value, you see that that value gets taken into a parameter, a get parameter, and then I can insert my own attack vector, like a script alert /script. This is the most basic attack vector that you can think of, right? This is something that you'll see a lot, and I need to do /script, of course. Now, why do you see this so much? Because a lot of people learn it that way. Don't do this, because the moment you get into filtering, like what is a developer gonna filter? Whatever you can find online most. Like if he's gonna filter for script, alert /script, you can see here that I'm breaking the page. This will probably still work, but let's see, /script. And I did, yeah, it popped up. I popped it away too fast. But the further I go along, you'll see that it will not work anymore. And I need a way to navigate from page to page. Like I need a next button or something on these. But here you can see that it doesn't work anymore. Something's happening. A filter's being applied. And this is, I'm not going to go too far into it yet. This is the most simple context you can imagine. This is the HTML context, because here my attack vector straight away goes into HTML format. It doesn't even need to break out of a script or out of anything. It's just going straight away into my HTML here. If I open this up, I can see that. Now it is filtered out, so you do need to be cautious with this. Like I said, I'm going to apply a filter. What am I going to do? Try to bypass it. Now, what I want you to do is, first of all, forget about that alert. Don't pop an alert. It doesn't matter. Like, this is filtered a lot. So then what can you do? We're going to do a prompt, for example. Still not working. What am I going to do then? Try a different HTML tag, which I know could potentially carry an attack vector. And here, what am I doing? I'm making a broken image with my attack vector here, and the source is an attribute. And then I can also say on error equals prompt. And then the event handler is what we call this, is going to make sure that whenever I have a broken image on the screen, or this broken image, that I'm going to pop a prompt. And we can go further and further in this with filters and filtered bypasses. I'll give you a nice list of filtered bypasses later, but for now, let's continue with, like we've seen reflected in get, but I've talked about post as well. This is when it becomes funny, and this is my gyro hunting, I think, by the way. Gyro is a really cool application to hunt on. I'm not hunting for cross-site scripting on them, though. Let's do the post section of this for a moment. So here, just replace the get with post. If you guys want the link, I can paste it in the chat for a moment. Let's see. Can I chat? Oh yeah, I should be able to. Everyone, here we go. So if you want to follow along, you can. Now I'm going to go straight to 11, I think, because here I might have to do a little bit more to bypass. So image source equals x on error equals prompt. I can see that it doesn't pop. Maybe I've done something wrong. The stupid password thingy is in the way. That's great. So let's try it like this. Image source equals x on error equals prompt. Okay, so I did get it to pop. But you see, I cannot send you guys this link. There is no point in me sending you this link, because it would do nothing. Their attack vector would be useless here. You're right? You would think so. This seems everything like self-XSS. Can you think of anything that bypasses this? And put it in the chat if you think there's any possibility to bypass. I'll give you like a minute or two to think about it, or like not even a minute or two, like maybe 30 seconds. Could you bypass this? Because how can I still make this attack useful? It is a difficult one, right? A form on a cut video website that auto-submits the target website. Potentially, yeah, but what I was aiming at is that there's no CSRF protection on here. So this is self-XSS, yeah, but I can add it. That's a good guess, by the way, Craig. I like that. I like your way of thinking. Nice, that's awesome. I like this guy. If I ever do bug bounties and I have a problem, Craig, email me your contact. I need you. So what can I do here? I could go to something like CSRF, proof of concept generator, and I could make a CSRF. I like the one that is, where is it? Ugh, it's always difficult to find. Yeah, it doesn't really matter actually. Oh, Hackify is a new one. So you can paste your full request here. If I don't like this one, CSRF Shark maybe start using. I used to use a different one, but that's okay. So I have my request here. Now if I go to my tab here and I will inspect this, go to the network tab. These are the developer console, really useful, a lot of developer tools on here. This is the console itself, this is the network tab. So here I am going to just submit this. And when I submit, here is that my post request. Yep, that's the post request, the form data. Copy as curl. And then I can paste that in here, and it's going to generate a form for me that submits whatever value is on here. So form method get action is that. It doesn't make, oh here, it doesn't make the input that is this. That's okay, I can make that myself. But that is why I don't like using these generators. I don't know where the one I use is, but yeah, it's okay. It doesn't matter that much as long as I have one that works. Paste the raw request, generate the form. So you could auto submit it, but yeah, and this one doesn't do anything. That's great. Let's go back to this. Paste my request, generate the form. Also doesn't generate the input field. It's okay. Can I type it here? Nope. Save as HTML. Let's open that then. Let's make it ourselves. Good old school. And this is even better. VB edit. That's even better. So input value equals, and then we need to input. I could just copy it from the page myself. Here, contact form. I just need the input field that they got. Here, input type is text. So the form action is correct. Method is post, not curl. And then here undefined needs to be removed. We need to have just this call. Here, that seems like correct. And then let's save that and we can open it. CSRF proof of concept, we see here John, we submitted and we have John. So now with the CSRF proof of concept, let's make it nice because I want to have an attack vector in here, right? So if I do image source equals X and then submit that, you can see that I have a broken image on my page. This comes from my local website, so I can still trick somebody into inserting that attack vector if I just host this and I make this invisible and I make it an auto submit. So through a CSRF attack, I still make my post cross-site scripting in reflected possible. Here I can then see on error equals alert or prompt. There we go, I do it myself. And we see that it pops up. Now this has no impact. So whenever you find something like this in bug bounties, I mean, you can report it, but it's often going to be low award, if even award at all, because they say that there's no impact. You need to show some type of impact. So steal some data on that page, like I said, make some kind of, I don't know, crypto miner is going to be hard, but you need to show some impact. So what do I use for that? And I use a website, XSS Hunter, basically. This is easy for me because here, this is an out-of-band thingy, an out-of-band server. And if I have a payload like this, for example, that's probably gonna be blocked. I don't need this. I need this probably as a payload. But it's all about the script for me. So here we have the input. And do I have a hit now? XSS payload fires? Yes, indeed, I do. You see that I copied my input vector here because it's just a basic HTML injection, but this is there. I can remove this first part because since it's a basic HTML injection, all I need is my input. This is an input with an onFocus event handler that does an eval of atop this.id. That's basically this. So this is in base64 going to be whatever the script is going to call, and it's going to be decoded so that call can be made to here. Now what can I see here? I can see the cookies that can be stolen. But if I look at cookies these days, there are different things that a cookie can have, different flags. So here, if I show the advanced stuff, I can say HTTP only. That means that I cannot access that cookie from JavaScript. So that is why, even though you might be able to steal some cookies, if they don't have the impact where you can use that cookie then to imitate another user, then the impact is again gonna be lower. I have a lot of things here that are being said that basically are in this PowerPoint as well. So we'll go over that later, but this is the reflected, distorted one. If you want to find more about this, you can find my labs on labs.hexpert.com or go through my course, which is also free on YouTube, by the way, but I've put a coupon code in the chat. DOM cross-site scripting is a specifically different one. Why is DOM different? Because DOM never reaches the server, never gets processed by a website, really. The document object model is different than the source code. DOM cross-site scripting uses DOM sources and DOM sinks. A DOM object model, a document object model is basically, you have your website, like the source code here. This is my website, this is the website source, and everything around it, like a hashtag in a link that's an anchor, is what we can name it as, or like the previous arrow or the next arrow. All of those things are stored in the document object model, and we want to get our tag vector in there and then pop it up in the source through the sinks and source basically principle. Now, what does the DOM sinks and sources look like? You can look at the DOM cross-site scripting page of Portswigger, and Portswigger has a nice explanation of it as well, but it's mostly about the end here, the very bottom, where they say which are the sinks that can lead to DOM cross-site scripting. You can look for those for yourself, but scanners can look for that as well. So it's different because you have some basic JavaScript and some jQuery sinks which can lead to DOM cross-site scripting. jQuery is an advanced version of JavaScript. It's built on top of it to make a few things easier, but you can see that it has a few sinks and sources as well. I have one lab on that. But that lab itself, I don't think is very useful, or at least not categorized properly. All it shows is how that actually would happen. So I have here a little selector, a drop-down field, and if I look at the scripts on this page which are being executed, there are several. This one here is just something for advertisement, so or at least for tracking, so I know how and what. This document.write, do you recognize that from somewhere? Yes, we do, don't we? This is going to potentially lead to DOM cross-site scripting. If I can open my lab again, there we go. No, that's not the one, dummy. This is, where the hell did I get, damn. Where did I put my lab? It's okay, it's okay. Reset. There we go. So when we have the DOM cross-site scripting lab here, what it's going to do is it's going to read from your link that you have, and it's going to, if we look at how this works exactly, so it's always here above the selector itself, it's going to look at the document.location.href.substring, and it's going to look at the location href index of default is +8, and then it's going to do that and put it in here. So if I get a option or a parameter in here, default is, and then I put some values in here, you can see that it actually gets displayed on the page. Now I need to break out of the JavaScript that I am in first. So if I want to solve this, I'm probably going to have to do something like this and break the page. I'm going to have to see a little bit closer what that script was like. And that is what cross-site scripting is like. You need to look at source code a lot, see how it is actually made up. So we see that it writes something in here. If I can just add a script alert or a prompt, let's do prompt because I say alert, but let's do prompt /script. You see that it executes. That's weird, right, to a degree, because you think, oh, doesn't that script or like that JavaScript that I just looked at here, shouldn't I break out of that? Shouldn't I break out of the JavaScript? But that's the whole idea of the DOM cross-site scripting, is I don't break out of it because it is a document.writeLine, and this is just JavaScript. This is not going to write any. Sorry, this is just HTML code. It's not going to write me any JavaScript. So dumb cross-site scripting, if you want to abuse it, just put in your attack vector like it would come in the source code itself. Because now I'd see that option 1 here contains script prompt/script. If I want to try a little bit more and look for cross-site scripting like this, I could look at this and see, okay, this is where my value lands. It's just HTML code. My value does not land in the JavaScript, even though the script is the one that sets this as an option here. Alright, I hope that's clear. If you have questions, by the way, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat. I will look at those at the end and try to answer as much as possible. So what other types of cross-site scripting do we have? Blind cross-site scripting. That's one that I've looked at a little bit. Blind cross-site scripting is really difficult to exploit properly because you don't know where your attack vector is going to land. So if I have like a ticketing system where you can come and you're like, okay, Uncle Red, my course has this problem, or I need a refund or whatever, you put in a ticket. That ticket gets read in a backend system, in a backend like application. And that backend application, we don't know what it will look like. That is where XSS Hunter is such a nice tool. For me at least. I use these payloads and I could encrypt them, I could encode them, I could try to bypass some filters, etc. But I use these payloads to see how many fires I get from what website I got them. And this is the best part. Check this out. cybersecurityeurope.com. Fail. That's an absolute fail. So yeah, I'm sorry that I have to blast you guys, but this is not okay. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't abuse it. I'm just having some fun. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. But yeah, it's something that I don't think is okay. Of course, like it's difficult to protect against, but sometimes these things happen. I reported that to them. I don't think they did anything with it ever since, but that's okay. I mean, I'm not. This is not bug bounties. They don't have a bug bounty program. They're not obligated to do anything. And they could even freaking sue me for this. No, they can't. This is the thing, right? If you do anything, make sure that you have permission beforehand, because everything I'm teaching you right now, yeah, you could abuse these things and then be like prosecuted because you've been abusing it. Just make sure that you do it in a bug bounty scenario, in a pen test scenario, or on a lab like mine. Just make sure that you have permission for it. I sound like ChatGPT right now. I don't know when I turn into that, but it's also always like, oh, be ethical about it. So these are basically the types of XSS. Mutation XSS is a cool one because when you put in an attack vector, your browser might try to repair said attack vector. So you put in a broken attack vector that would not work. The browser will try to repair it and then make it into a working attack vector. That's a more recent type of XSS that has been found. And all of these types of cross-site scripting can happen in different contexts. I've shown you basic HTML injection. That is the most basic form of it. But if we look a little bit further in the XSS Hunter thing, you also saw this double quote and then a greater than sign. Don't think it's always a double quote that ends in HTML tag attribute. Like here, you see value equals John. This is a user input value. Don't think that it's always like this, even though your browser always shows it like this. Sometimes, me as a developer, I can be a sneaky motherfucker and I can put in a single quote. The browser will show double quotes. But if you want to bypass this, a double quote isn't going to work here. You would need a single quote. So it's, for me, mostly single quote, double quote, then a greater than sign. Then you insert your attack vector itself. So what can also happen is that your attack vector goes into a JavaScript context. In a JavaScript context, you need to break out of the script that you're currently in. I put these in the wrong order, I see, because my semicolon needs to come behind it. But when I have a piece of JavaScript written like below here, I need to make sure that when my input here lands, this is my input. I need to break out of the current script that I'm in, and it's still gonna fail here because I need to do /script. I need to add that to break out of the script. Then I need to show my image. Or I could potentially just bypass this entirely because I don't need to break out of that even. I'm already in a JavaScript context. So here I can go prompt, and I have also bypassed it. So different contexts can have different attack vectors, and the whole idea is that you find places where things are reflected, and then you attack based on the context that you're in, based on the type of XSS you have in front of you. There's a few filter evasion techniques that we can apply. Basic modifications are like you see here, adding spaces, encodings, tabs, new lines, carriage returns, not returns, what the heck is that? And that can already do a lot. You see here null byte, you see here changing of how I write script. You cannot change the capitalization of your JavaScript. That is capital sensitive. Versus the script HTML tag you can. But you see some basic modifications here that are possible. You can also, I see that this is visible still, that's not okay. So here, let's remove that. Oh no, sorry. So attributes and tags we can do a lot with input. We can do script, we can do an image, we can do different attribute or tags, and we can also find XSS cheat sheet. So XSS cheat sheet, and this one is one that I really like. This one is a port swigger one, where you see different combinations that are possible. So here you see a style tag. In the style tag we define keyframes with an X coordinate from left 0 to left 1000 pixels with target animation of 10 seconds, ease in and out 0 second, 1x, and then a style of an XSS tag in it with an idea of X with a style on it with an on animation, cancel, it does a print. That is mental, right? If you think about how you can get to something like this, it's crazy. Now, what's so special about this is this only works in Firefox, and that is because an RFC, the RFC for HTML code and JavaScript and stuff, it gets interpreted differently per browser. So Chrome, Firefox, Opera, all these different browsers might interpret the RFC differently, which means that different attack vectors only work on specific browsers. This is a nice cheat sheet to have. It shows you all of the different tags as well. So these are all of the tags we can have. A div with a different event handler, and on Chrome, well, we see that there's a filter here with this specific tag vector that we can see. Now, what I like to do is I like to copy all these tags to the tags to clipboard, the events to clipboard, and then I would like to make sometimes fuzzing with that if to see if things are filtered or not. Now, these are all difficult attack vectors. These are not the simplest attack vectors ever, and it might trigger a lot of filters. So when you want to bypass that, you add some of these things on top of it. You add the spacing, you add these encodings, you add different things. You can see that I'm already doing some pretty advanced stuff on here. We can add delimiters, brackets, extra delimiters. We can add event handlers, different ones. You can see that there's a lot of different filter evasion techniques you can pick from. An eval, we've seen different eval techniques as well being used in XSS Hunted, using filtered words within filtered words. This one actually helped me find bounties a lot because they filter out the word script, leaving the word script. Cool one, I like that. Using your imagination is gonna be important here. So when you approach a website like the one that I had in front of me myself here, This one, for example, if I approach a proper one, let's approach, which one should we do? Maybe Red Back Park or something like that because it's a bigger one. But here, or no, yeah, let's do this one. Let's start a free trial, create a trial tenant, and here, if I want to look for cross-site scripting, I am going to, let me log in for a second. There we go, log in. You can all do this, by the way. You can all go to this same website. I'm not going to find specific XSS in here. I didn't build this to show you XSS. These labs are all built based on real-life applications with a specific exploit type in them. Here is broken access control. It's literally emulating emulating one of my customers. Let's do another one then. Let's go to reddo.xssred.com. That's a little bit simpler, but here I can create a account. Here I will find XSS, of course, Destin21. Please nobody steal my account. My password is super secure. So here I can write tasks, and with this task, if I want to look for cross-site scripting, what I'm going to do is a single quote, double quote, greater than sign, and a broken image. This is a very simple attack vector that rarely gets filtered out. And I see often, in my opinion, image is more accepted than a B tag. Some people do a B tag. I see that that's more filtered. That's my own experience, but I can clearly see here that I am showing a broken image. I'm testing for two things here, SQL injection and cross-site scripting. Cross-site scripting in two different contexts. Now, I could add some different techniques here for JavaScript, but this is the simplest I can get. So just a broken image, and then something to break out of an HTML tag attribute if I want to. I do this on every single input field I see, even if it's something that I can self see. Because if I see that there's even a broken image and I see that the CSRF token is not working, then it's no longer self XSS for me if you chain it. I do this literally on the moment I start inputting this, because if I register for a web shop right now and I put this as my name, my last name, my address, whatever, and I try to order something, then I can see my name, last name, etc. on that order form. If I want to test that later for cross-site scripting, I have to go back and retest everything. This is the simplest way I found, the simplest attack vector that I usually use, or the simplest polyglot as we know them. If you want to know a different list of polyglots, never use this one, gents. Okay, the thing is, right, you might have more contexts in which you're going to operate, but it's always going to trigger something. Like, this is going to trigger a filter like crazy. It's insane. Like, this is okay, right? This was okay. It's nice to learn from, but what I've noticed is that simpler is better, to find your attack vector and then slowly go and add pieces on top of it. And if you find that something is filtered, break it back down, remove things and see what is filtered. Why is that filtered? What if I add this? What if I remove this? All of these things make filter evasion. What you can do is then you can add like a ampersand greater than sign, ampersand GT is what we call it. Like, this is how we would write that. So ampersand, I'm using a different keyboard, greater than, and then a script, and then this, or even like this, oh, come on, there we go, less than. So you could even do it like this. You can see that these things are, if I would do it the right order, are translated into actual HTML characters. This is HTML encoding. You can have so many different types of encoding, so many different types of filtered bypasses, and you can do that double. You can do double encoding sometimes. It gets mad, and the thing is, get your attack vector, get that little entry point, and then start hacking, then start seeing if you can find stuff. This can take a long time, gents and ladies. This can take a very long time. I once had spent 2 days on an attack vector like this, but it was a pretty cool one. I was able to bypass it with multiple things like HTML encoding, the filtered words within filtered words. I had to see which JavaScript was blocked, which was not. Interesting. But the attack vector or the system I was fighting was looking at my traffic, but it didn't block me. It didn't say like stop. It just removed things. And that was easy for me because I knew what it removed. And that is a type of WAF that does, in this case, the traffic is going to be not denied at that point, but just sanitized and then stored into a database and then shown, or it's sanitized and gets reflected. You can have a sanitization, or you can have a complete denial of whatever it is going to be inputted and be like, nope, not possible. Sanitization is easier because then you know what's being sanitized and what not often. Unless you have an idiot like me who then, like, if you saw here that script alert / script on my labs on the basic one, it did not work, even though it looks like HTML code. That is because I do HTML entities. In PHP we call it HTML entities, and that is how I bypass that. You can do just script alert / script in here. I don't know if this one is still possible. Script alert / script. Yeah, you see, I do HTML entities is what we call it. I sanitize it to a small degree, and it's really literally based on an if. If this is in the attack vector, then block it or show it as is. Which is frustrating, because here you don't really know what the issue is unless you try a lot of things. I'm not gonna say that, of course, when you enter. So if you do something like this, like I said before, you're never gonna find anything. Oh, here it is, because image is not blocked. But if I go further and go to, like, I don't know, 13 or something, I don't know if the image is here blocked. Yeah, I would find a lot of things. If you go to the get reflected cross-site scripting section and you go a little bit further to like 18, I think, there it should be a bit better. Image source equals X. You see, I can not even get anything with that here. So it's gonna be difficult on something that has this much filtering to find cross-site scripting. At that point, especially with that lazy type of polyglot hunting, you won't find a lot. It's much more difficult to find it on these types of things. So you have like a WAF that could inspect the traffic, does a regular expression check or any other pattern check, then logs the attempt, then maybe sanitizes it even. And it could even be like the configuration where you set it up so that it goes into blocking mode after a few times that you've been able to like try, and then it's like, oh no, now you're being blocked for a certain amount of time. That can result in a banning. So what is a WAF then? What's a WAF in essence? I have set up rules, a rule set. If I look at this here, that's a rule set. That's WAF I made. That's a WAF in one of my labs, redbank.xssrat.com. You can hack that, you can try that, and this is a log mode, so it's an inspection WAF that's set up, and you can see here that it does pattern recognition. All of these patterns are rules. Rules are there to be broken. Find out what that pattern is, what exactly it blocks, and then find out how to bypass that. So WAF is either pattern-based filtering, sanitization, and it can work on a whitelist or a blacklist-based principle, where it's like only if the input is according to these rules will it be accepted and put into a database or reflected, versus the blacklist based filtering is if it contains any of these bad terms like I have here, then block the traffic or log the traffic. This is based upon rule sets. You have, for example, the Azure Managed Default Rule Set in the application gateway web firewall that they have. You have another example is OWASP mod security plus core rule set project. There are different WAFs or application firewalls. It could be web application firewalls in this case. You also have different other firewalls, but I'm specifically talking about web application level. What does that mean, OWASP rule set? What does that mean, OWASP mod security? It's basically a sophisticated pattern matching gatekeeper. So if you go online, you look at that rule set, OWASP set together a bunch of rules, and these rules are defined like I have right here, where it's like if it contains that, then block it. If it contains that, then block it. And I think we can even look at that for a moment. OWASP core rule set. So if you guys are interested in that, I'm going to put that project in the chat as well. That's an interesting one. There we go. If you look in the right section here, the coreruleset.org website, here you can, if we look at the documentation, the deep dive, here we have how core rule set works. You see that it has different, rules. Here, rule ID, what's in the rules. This one, for example, is a rule request 901 initialization. Has nothing to do with XSS, but these are rules, and if you look at the rule set, that's, they define basically patterns. On top of that, core rule set can be set up with paranoia levels. You can fine-tune false positives. You have sampling mode. There's a bunch of things to discover. I would recommend that you just set it up yourself. There are Docker installation instructions, but you do need to have your own website, of course, as well. So here's a Docker image that they have set up for you. Try it. You'll learn more that way. I have built my own one, so this is a few rules. So signature-based detection, what does that mean? It utilizes, like we saw, regular expression libraries to identify common injection patterns. Bit like I have said, if the attack vector contains script, then just show it properly or block it. JavaScript, etc. It does protocol enforcement, so all of the impedance mismatching is gone. It decodes and normalizes things. So if you encode your tag vector into base 64 and then decode it with the eval function, this mod security normalizes the input, decodes them, and then the rules can see hidden malicious scripts. The paranoia levels, what does that mean? If you want more subtle attack vectors that are not so standard, PL1 catches obvious stuff. If you have it on PL4, it is so strict that it can even block even the slightly suspicious traffic, but valid characters are still okay, and you have maximum security. So that's what those paranoia levels are. I've put a link as well here at the top. If you're interested in that really interesting project. That's about it for my presentation. I think there were a few questions as well. Let me go over that. Can we get the PDF? Let's see. So the PDF has been shown. Is the Hexpert platform open source? It's not open source in a sense that I haven't made the source code available, but you can use Hexpert for sure. You can hack anything that is based on labs.hexpert.com. All of the things on here are hackable, and there's even a few bigger labs if you're interested in that, but as you see, some of them are broken. So Uncle Red has some fixing to do. You can always go on there and hack along. I might make that source code available, why not? If I find the XSS that is on login page or register page, I usually find the element using document.get element by ID to find each input field and store it in a variable, and using the fetch function and send to my server. So we can steal the login credentials or the register page information. I see, interesting. Is there a Telegram or WhatsApp group that I can join? Oh yeah, for sure. That is sent over. If you're interested as well, I have my own Discord server. I don't know if I'm allowed to share the link here, but you can find it on my YouTube channel as well. I have about 10,000 users in here. I'm sorry, Annie. I'm sorry. I tried to make it as well understandable as possible, but the whole idea of JavaScript is that you're gonna need to learn HTML, some JavaScript itself. You need to learn that properly, and only then can you exploit it properly. Because just throwing tag vectors blindly at an application isn't gonna get you very far. If a website developer was to use all of the browser security features, like blocking all inline JavaScript, could you stop all XSS? I'm only aware of the dangling markup, like image source or HTML, which follows is sent to the attacker's website. That's a good question. So if a developer is going to use all the security features like blocking inline, proper course, proper CSP, it's going to be difficult to get XSS on that. And even if you get XSS, impact is going to be like pretty much zero at that point. So yeah, because if you, like, for example, limit the amount of characters that you can put in, it's going to be very difficult to even call a script from yourself. Even if you look at dangling markup, you could host your own script or whatever, but if I limit the amount of characters there, it's going to be difficult. So good question. Yeah. So cross-site scripting and CSRF are definitely different things. What you could do is, like, you could steal a CSRF token, but that's no longer as valuable as it used to be. You could maybe make a wish list or something like that, something stupid. But before, you could just log in and change your password without having to put in a new password, or changing your email without like actually having to put in your password. That was done through a form, and these forms could be protected by CSRF tokens, but then stealing that token would allow you to change the email address and then turn it into a full account takeover. All modern applications are going to ask you to add your password to an email address. So we could steal a CSRF token, or we could use CSRF to exploit our cross-site scripting and make self-XSS into a proper attack vector. Features I'm thinking of is set cookie secure. Yeah, then there's no point in trying to steal the cookies for the HTTP only flag. The content type options, no sniff, the application XHTML plus XML. Permission policies, well, it's gonna be really difficult at that point. What you'd have to do is, like, I need to have that in front of me and I need to test a few attack vectors, but it seems almost impossible. Yeah, I would never say never, nothing's impossible in history, I've learned. What kind of XSS payloads provide better results in second order or blind XSS? So I've only had one blind XSS before in production. That's it. I don't have much experience with that, to be honest. It's really difficult, because the blind XSS I found in production, it wasn't 100% blind. It was like I had both fields in front of me. I had the back end and I had the front end. I was able to get into the back end with the bypass because some forms were not protected properly. But yeah, it's like blind XSS is not something you find often. If you do, like, try to use all of the things in XSS Strike, or XSS Hunter. What am I saying? XSS Strike. But all of those attack vectors from XSS Hunter, they're good. I like them. They use a basic script, they use an input tag, they use an image tag, they use a video tag in it, an iframe, which is also good. Then the XHTML, so this is to call, once again, with a script, and then a get script jQuery payload. So they have a little mix of everything. So if you test that, just copy all these payloads and use them. likely to trigger a filter if filters are active, but if you can, test with all of them. What other securities are the website you bypass using the XSS? So like I said, you could potentially spawn a login and password form, and you could like click on it. You could get that data. You could send it over. You could have a keyloggers. Keyloggers are also limited to the frame that they're in. So if I have an iframe like I have on labs.hexpert.com, and that is like security measures are set properly, you cannot use a keylogger on the full website. So if I have this is an iframe. You cannot use the keylogger on this part of the website, only on this part of the website. So things are limited there. But those are some of the things that I could think of that you could do besides stealing cookies. Because as you saw, a lot of these websites, they use a secure flag for their cookies. I don't. So the HTTP only flag here, well, not a secure, the HTTP only flag here, once I have that enabled, JavaScript attacks are no longer possible. I cannot take that data with JavaScript unless it's reflected somewhere else on the page. Another one would be where I steal data from the page. So if there's like a first name, last name, email, any PII, if I steal that from the page and send it back to my own server, that is a good attack vector as well. Oh, sorry. The same site HTTP says, is there any securities you can bypass with XSS? So I meant about the same site HTTP only flag. The security of CSRF you can bypass using XSS. Yeah, like those are things that you could potentially do. I hope that answers your question, by the way. Also, what's your general thoughts on LLM agent finding security vulnerabilities as an old school guy? What's your feeling, thoughts on insights on it? Old school? Bro, I'm 35, I'm not 70, come on, what the hell is it? No, seriously. I think that LLMs are overrated in what they can do and overtrusted, allowing for both more vibe coding and for so the vibe coding we can test then more projects, more new things just popping up left, right, and center, more idiots coding stupid shit. But then the LLM agents that I know, agentic pen testers that require several engineers in Dubai to even run properly, and then it's good, it finds stuff for sure, but then we put our trust in it and we put things in production based on its opinion, whereas we can still be more creative, find more creative attack vectors. What this thing can do is it can find initial entry points maybe better because it has more patience in testing different encoding techniques and different filter bypasses. But it's definitely not what people make it out to be, that's for sure. Which documents would you recommend to deep dive into XSS for experimenting with different combinations, except for extent understanding the concept? So, when it comes to really understanding cross-site scripting, learn JavaScript. And I know a lot of you are gonna say, like, maybe like not agree with me, but W3 Schools has a good JavaScript course. Learn it. That's gonna be your biggest attribute in understanding cross-site scripting really well. Because then if you know this and if you know HTML together, you know what HTML attributes are, you know what HTML event handlers are, and you know JavaScript, then it's a part of just finding the entry points and trying to bypass any type of filters that are active at that point. Another good one is the Portswigger cross-site scripting pages. So they have a really good page on cross-site scripting. I would also try to go through that, and then of course YouTube, the XSS thread. If you look up my name, you'll find a XSS playlist that is like the course that I've been just going through. I've summarized a lot of it, but this is basically the course that I've been going through, and then a lot of different HTML injections, cross-site scriptings, etc. I'll put that playlist as well in the chat so you can go and watch if you're interested in that. Those are some of the things that I would recommend. Hope that answers your question a bit. Can you please copy paste the link where we get the XSS payloads, which you could show? Oh yeah, this one, right? This one from the cross-site scripting cheat sheet. No problem. There you go, brothers. Hey, just sharing with you. Just don't sue me after completing the XSS guide course as a token of gratitude for free course. I responsibly reported this towards XSS. I appreciate that, bro. I don't know Podia, but I'll pass it along. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. JavaScript or Python scripting, which best plays best? Bro, I'm not gonna sue you. Don't worry. Don't worry. JavaScript or Python scripting, which plays best role? I would say JavaScript because JavaScript is much more used, much more widely used than all of the others. Like all of the other scripting languages, like VB script, for example, is definitely not widely used, but it could be if you have an ASP website. So the recording, yeah, that will be shared. That's awesome. So thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Like, do you have any more questions? Thank you all for being here. It's been an amazing Saturday. It's been a true honor, a true pleasure from my side. Really appreciate the OWASP Salem guys for having me. Thank you so much. You're awesome. This was really
The
good.
pleasure is ours, seriously. Thank you for your time.
I was so nervous. 70 people. Come on, what the hell? You know that even for my own webinars, I don't get 70 people. That's crazy. That's crazy.
We peaked to 82, I think.
Oh, give
After you're
me.
done, some people started to leave.
It's good that you tell me now because I would have gotten more nerves if I would have seen that. It's like, wow. I appreciate it so much, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, guys. Also, I think Mr. just dropped the discount on his course. Make sure to use it.
Yeah, if you guys want to have a like XSS course, I put a link in the description below that you can use. Just use the coupon RATS and then you should be able to get that for free. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Awesome. I will wish everybody a good Saturday then and hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Go hug a fucking tree, you need it. Oh, sorry for swearing. Oops.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it. Thank you for your time, Weasley, and people.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time as well. Hope you guys enjoy the session. Have a great weekend. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone. See you later.
Yeah.